This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Welcome back to Higher Health with Dr. Elizabeth Rogers. It's been a few weeks since our last episode, and I am beyond honored to bring you this one and introduce you to our extraordinary guest, Michael McAdams. Michael is a lifelong seeker of spiritual truth and co-author of the book An Angel Told Me So, a compelling collection of messages and teachings dictated directly from spirit teachers and angels. Michael, like me, is dedicated to bridging the spiritual and physical realms, and this is truly a fully aligned guest for us. His dedication has provided profound insights to countless and established him as a very trusted voice in spiritual communication. Among many things on today's show, Michael and I will discuss challenges you may face in connecting with the spiritual realm and how his insights can help you unlock your innate abilities to communicate with the other side. We will also talk about Michael's book, An Angel Told Me So, where he shares the remarkable experiences of his late mother, Wilma Jean Jones, who received messages from spirit teachers for more than 22 years. These teachings provide a roadmap for personal spiritual development, offering you actionable steps to recognize and interpret your own messages from beyond. If you want to feel empowered to explore your own spiritual potential and find comfort in understanding life beyond this physical plane, this show was made for you. So before we dive in, let me tell you just a little bit about our great guest. Michael McAdams has felt a sense of destiny and purpose his entire life. As a lifelong, sincere seeker of truth, Michael has endeavored to reach out with an open mind to all sources available. Brought up in the Pentecostal church, Michael's uncle was a fiery Pentecostal preacher by the name of John W. Sullivan. Although Michael has always felt more spiritual than religious, communication from the highest possible source has always been his goal as he enables his mind to receive information and direction that allows him to help the greatest number of people. When the student is ready, a teacher will appear has been a very appropriate life philosophy for Michael, as his path has consistently brought him together with individuals, books, and sources of learning that have allowed continued growth in spiritual development. One of Michael's preferred books, in addition to the Bible, is the Urantia book. Michael offers a set of his own writings called Spiritual Parchment Prints that are available on his website, spiritspeaks.com. Michael's work has touched countless readers, providing comfort and clarity in understanding life beyond the physical plane. His appearances have drawn interest from spiritual seekers and skeptics alike, as he invites everyone into a dialogue that balances faith, reason, and personal discovery. So without further ado, I am so honored to welcome Michael McAdams. Welcome to Higher Health, the podcast that elevates your understanding of health beyond the conventional into a realm where mind, body, and spirit align. If you're ready to rise above the noise of traditional health approaches and connect deeply with your inner wisdom, you're in the right place. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Rogers, a heart-centered, Harvard-trained epidemiologist, researcher, medical intuitive, and transformational health and longevity expert. In this space, we explore the profound journey of health and well-being, where every choice aligns with your highest self. Together, we'll unlock the true essence of being healthy, empowered, and whole. Michael, we are so blessed and thrilled to have you here on the show today. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here with your generosity of time and energy to just share your wisdom with us.
Well, thank you, Dr. Rogers. It's an honor to be here and be able to talk to you. And it sounds like we're both simpatico as far as our spirit teachers, spirit
Hmm.
guides that we work with, and we've had similar experiences. So I think this will be good.
I do too. And actually, let's start by talking about spirit guides and spirit teachers. Now, on this show, my listeners are used to hearing me talk about my guides. They know that often when I'm doing a solo episode, it is a co creative project with spirit. I channel often the episodes that I deliver with my spirit guides. So, will you talk with us about spirit teachers? You know, you and I both know we all have them.
Right, we do. And spirit teachers really are the same thing as angels, just viewed from a different perspective. One religious, one spiritual.
I
I
love
was
that.
brought up with a foundation of faith, church-based, Bible-based. My uncle was a fiery Pentecostal preacher, passionate. My grandmother was a Pentecostal preacher. And those of us with a foundation of faith, we read and learn about angels, archangels, guardian angels. People who are more spiritual in nature, they read and learn about spirit guides, spirit teachers, master teachers, the same exact beings, just viewed from a different perspective.
I love this. And I have always wanted to ask this question to somebody because we hear these terms used interchangeably often, you know, spirit guides, angels, guardian angels, archangels. And I, like you know, I was raised as a Catholic. So I heard all the time about saints and angels and guardian angels. And I still, some of my guides still are of that nature. And then I have guides that to me are more spirit guides. They come from other planets, some of them, and things like that. So I love hearing this because I often encourage people to use the name or label that feels right for them. And I feel like what you're sharing with us is that it is okay to do exactly that.
Well, that's true. And the spirit teachers, like angels, all come from what I believe is a spiritual realm on the other side of this physical plane. It may be heaven, a lot of people would
Yeah.
consider that to be heaven, but I think it is so much more than heaven. The spiritual realm is just as vast and far reaching as this physical plane. Only on the spiritual realm, you have numerous levels. You have spirit guides, spirit teachers, master teachers, angels, guardian angels, archangels, and even higher teachers. And some of the messages in the book, An Angel Told Me So, which was a title that my mother was given by a spirit teacher that presented the message. She was told that should be the name of the book. And my mother was extremely religious, daily reader of her Bible. She wasn't real sure about a lot of the stuff that I had gotten involved in. I had always had questions, even when I was young. Just some of the things that I would hear in church just didn't sound right, didn't seem like it would fit. Like heaven and hell, for
Yeah.
instance.
Yeah.
And so I had questions, and on my website, spiritspeaks.com, at the top it says, Spirit speaks to the hungry soul. And then as you scroll down, it says, for all sincere seekers of truth. And then it says, when the student is ready, a teacher will appear. And for me, that has been appropriate because if you are a seeker, a sincere seeker, just putting out the vibration that you want to know and learn, you will come into contact with people that will suggest an event, a book,
Yeah.
a speaker, a movie. And it's just one step after another. And I feel that all of us are in this work more than anything else. We're just shining a light on a path that people can take the next step and follow.
I wholeheartedly feel the same way. And I know I've experienced through my own development over these last 15 years that as I've developed, I've had the opportunity to meet different kinds of guides from different kinds of realms. And I love learning this. And so, a question that's unplanned that I'd love to ask you is What kind of advice would you give to us for those of us who are seekers, who know we have guides, who are interested in connecting with those guides, in developing our relationship with them? What advice would you give?
Well, we're all spoken to, usually in thought.
Yeah.
We receive information, guidance, direction, support. I'd slow down up ahead if I were you. I wouldn't buy that car if I were you. And there's all types of information that is made known to our mind. And people who are willing to tune in and listen can understand that we have that information made available to us. And it has a certain feel in your mind. An incoming thought has a different feel than a thought that we think. And we can look out the window and think anything that we want. But that an incoming thought, but because we have that pesky little gift called free will, we have the ability to accept or reject any advice, guidance, direction, or support that we're given. And we normally do so at our own peril. We have emotions, we have things that we want to have happen, whether it's supposed to happen or not. And a lot of times, if it's not supposed to happen, it's really difficult to achieve. I mean, not just what we're doing here, trying to achieve sharing all this information with as many people as possible. But if there's certain things that you're not supposed to do or things are not supposed to happen, it will be, difficult, if not impossible. So it doesn't mean you have to give up, but you might want to take another path.
I love that. And I love everything you just said. And it reminded me of a similar lesson that I learned from one of my spiritual mentors when I was younger. And she taught me to stop with the pop. And I always remember that phrase because that is how she started to teach me that there's a difference between those incoming thoughts or the ones that kind of pop in versus the ones that, like you said, we choose to turn and look out the window and think about a very specific topic. You mentioned your mom, and I've been so excited to talk with you about her. And so I'd love to know, how did your mother, you said she was this faith-based person. How did she first discover her ability to connect with spirit teachers? And how did that end up inspiring your inevitable journey?
Well, I had been involved in spiritual material, various things. I actually had a table with a group in Cincinnati called Psychic World, and I did psychic readings for about a year and a half in Cincinnati. I did psychometry, and that's the ability to hold rings, watches, keys, anything that carries a person's vibration. I had a legal tablet, and I wouldn't pump them for information. I would just ask their first name. They would give me something to hold, and I would start to get a message for them. And I would write a page and a half. And when it got to the end, it would just stop. I'd read it to them. Sometimes they'd cry. And it was more confirmation as to what they were going through rather than actual prophecy. My mother, being a daily reader of her Bible, foundation of faith, our entire family, she wasn't real sure about all this. She had, she just questioned, are you sure you want to be involved in that? And the more that I talked to her and shared with her, finally one day I said, do you think you could have an open mind? And she said, yeah, I could have an open mind. And so I actually took her to a couple of these sessions with these Psychic World in Cincinnati. And she got to know the lady that was running the group. And my mom started doing readings, connecting with her own spirit teachers, angels, if that's your preferred term.
Yeah.
And my grandmother was a Pentecostal preacher, and she pastored a small church just north of Cincinnati. And I remember when I was young, my grandmother would receive sermons dictated to her mind in thought, and even verses to songs that she would put to music. And in the book, An Angel Told Me So, in the photo gallery, there are 6 verses to a song that my grandmother received while lying in a hospital in Columbus. They had taken her by ambulance from Dayton to Columbus. She had sugar diabetes. They didn't think she was going to make it. She was in a room by herself praying, and these verses started to come into her mind. She had pen and pencil on her nightstand next to the bed. My sister still has the original paper where she wrote these verses. And reading those 6 verses, they'll almost bring you to tears. So, that's the way it works. Most all of us receive in thought. Now, my mother, as she progressed into this, she had been spoken to in thought, even when she was younger, usually when you're not thinking about anything, doing a routine chore. And she had been led to sit down in dedicated sessions. In her mind, we have a message for you. Well, when she was led in these sessions, she had set up an electric typewriter in her kitchen. And she would go in, put a sheet of paper in the typewriter, light a candle, say a prayer, ask for protection, because you are opening your mind. And she would see 3 or 4 words just float into her mind and hang there. They would not go away until she typed them. Once she typed those 3 or 4 words, they would just fade away. 3 or 4 more would show up. That's how she got these messages. Full page, single space typed, many times with no paragraphs. But these spirit teachers in these messages repeatedly refer to themselves in first person. We feel, we believe, we advise. Our view encompasses more than your view can comprehend. One line in a message said, "We hear the spirit cries above the words you speak." Who talks like that?
Nobody.
I don't talk like that.
No, people here on earth don't talk like that.
And this is an amazing body of material, extremely deep, profound teachings. And the messages themselves, in volume 1, they were pretty much all personal messages to my mother and to me. She would receive a message addressed to her by name, and her spirit teachers would move in. Then she would receive a message for me with my spirit teachers moving in. But it's like these messages and teachings are woven with a universal thread.
Yeah.
And everyone who has read these messages have said, well, this sounds like what I'm dealing with. This sounds like they're talking to me. And I tell people, I say, when you get the book, read each message once as it was given for my mom and given for me. Then read that same message again as if it's being presented for you and see what hits. It's amazing what hits. And all of this will allow people to have the confidence and comfort of knowing that if I can do this and my mother can do this, they can do it too. And it's just an impetus to connect with their own spirit teachers and be helped throughout all that we have to deal with in life.
Michael, you brought tears to my eyes just telling me the story about your grandmother. So I already know that when I read those verses that I will not be able to help it. And it's making me feel called and guided to share this with you. So I will. My guides want me to share with you that something that happens to me, and fortunately, a medium that I worked with who has transitioned about 4 years ago, she helped me learn this about myself. And I'm so grateful because to this day, I use it as a reference point. And it is when I am in the presence of pure, what I call divine and sacred energy, guidance, pure love. I will, when I connect to that vibration, I can't help but feel tears stream down my face. It's not because I'm crying or trying to, it's just an unsolicited, involuntary response. And so sometimes that will happen to me as I'm writing or channeling. Sometimes it just happens when I'm in the presence of somebody who's just also very connected like you.
My grandmother, when she had received these sermons, she would say that God had spoken to her heart. That's the perspective that someone with a church-based, Bible-based foundation is going to interpret anything that they receive. Well, that's just God speaking to my heart.
Right.
Who are more spiritual in nature, who read metaphysical material, who know about spirit guides, spirit teachers, they know that we're spoken to.
Yes.
Now, my mother, there was a time she was just working around the kitchen one day, and she received words started coming into her mind, and she knew it was incoming. And so she picked up a paper and pen. She had beautiful handwriting. And she just took down the words as they were given in thought. And this was a message that she felt was confirmation that she should put these messages and teachings in a book. She had been praying about it. May I share this with you and your audience?
Please, please, we would be honored.
So, like I said, this is what she received. Emptiness is part of fulfillment. Let your resources fill the void left so that distinction of your purpose can be found. Expression is always self-explanatory. Therefore, look inside and anchor all your beliefs beside those still waters that will take away your troubled view and renew your strength to recapture that which was lost, but is now found to be adequate to pursue the course set before you. And as you reconcile your being to represent those qualities that have been left intact, God will see to it that although circumstances have been trying, to say the least, your weariness will disappear as clouds once removed allow the sun to shine to dispel the gloom and darkness that has pervaded your countenance. And as once described before, a token of this presence will be deposited to your account and books recorded in his name.
It's just so beautiful. And I couldn't stop those tears. And it reminds me of the feeling I get sometimes when I write. And I love this message so much. And I feel like it's something I'm going to reread and re-listen to so many times, because I feel like in a way through that message that your mother received, like you said about the book, even though there were so many messages for the two of you, so many of them really are universal. And I loved the part about the water, and just, it's such a reminder that we can get caught up in our human expressions and emotions and worries. But I felt like it was just this reminder that, allow us to help you, allow yourself to release those things, because once you do that, you can follow that divine path, and the light just keeps shining brighter and brighter.
Now, that message is on the back cover of the book. And it's also, if you go to my website, spiritspeaks.com, scroll down to the middle of the homepage, and you'll see a painting that I have at home.
Yes.
There are 5 hidden messages in that painting. You can take a journey, find the hidden messages, and the last message that you'll find is that message that my mother received that she felt was confirmation she should put the messages and teachings in a book.
I love that so much, Michael. That is so special. And you were telling me a little bit about this before the interview, because I've already been sneaking a peek at your website before we got a chance to really connect more one-on-one. And I'm so excited about the painting. So I know that everybody is going to go and receive those messages, and that the link for anything that Michael mentions today, everyone, will be in the show notes. So you won't have to worry about going to dig around. We'll have everything you need here for you. Michael, I would love to ask you next, what advice would you offer to someone looking to develop their ability to connect with the spiritual realm?
Well, I'm fortunate to have a foundation of faith.
Yeah, and not a lot of people do.
The great thing about a foundation is that you have something to build on. And you have that confidence to know that if you have a foundation of faith, like you said, you're already connected to angels. But a lot of people, they really believe there has to be more. I saw a post recently, and it said, I don't want to just believe, I want to know. And I think a lot of people feel that way. You constantly hear about there's less and less interest in organized religion and more interest in spiritual matters, more information, because people have had faith for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
And we've been told this is going to happen when you die. And by the way, there really is no death. We never really die.
No, we do not.
We ride around in these bodies the way we ride around in our cars. It's just a vehicle to negotiate this physical plane. So for people who are interested in connecting with their own spirit teachers, just put out an aura of protection. There is negativity floating around looking for a warm, fuzzy home that they could settle into. And you have control over your thought system, like a little mini solar system within our minds. And you can accept or reject anything, any thoughts, ideas, information that would clutter up your thought system. Anything that you don't agree with or that you know that you did not think, just simply, surround it and discard it out into the universe and don't let it be a part of your thought system.
I love that advice so much. And I think that is just helpful advice in general. And on this show, I talk a lot about, as you know, higher health, which is the name of the show. And to me, Michael, higher health is exactly what you and I are talking about on this show today. It's about, first and foremost, a foundation in connection. And that is one of the most important lessons that my divine and sacred guides have led me to learn so far in this lifetime, and that I have been blessed to be able to pass on to as many people as I possibly can. And I just think it's such a helpful reminder for us to hear from you that the truth, which is that we are not our thoughts and emotions. We do get to choose what gets to be a part of that mini solar system and what doesn't. And I just think that is very powerful and just so beautifully and perfectly well stated. So I'd love to ask you, you mentioned this when you just shared your response about the negativity floating around out there. And I was taught the same, that there is negativity floating around out there. We live on planet Earth where there is the both and. We have dark and light. So I'd love to ask, what is the best way, or let me rephrase that. How can we determine the authenticity of the messages we do receive?
Well, the best way to protect your mind is I use affirmations. There are a lot of people that have affirmations, positive statements that you carry within your mind as a constant buffer against anything, any negativity, or anything that might creep in that you don't want to be part of your thought system. And so affirmations, I believe, are the best thing. I've had a number of them come to me over the years. I've got one that just comes to my mind often, and it's been in my thought system so long I don't even remember how long ago it was. But it said, "Let no thoughts, ideas, or information be made known to my mind that does not come from God or his direct representatives."
I just wrote that down and I love that. I as well love affirmations and have been using them for quite a few years to serve as exactly what you just said. And I've never heard it phrased that way. And I loved it. And I wrote it down too, that it is a constant buffer and it can be used to help protect our minds. And I really feel confident that that is the case. And I love this one that you just shared with us. And would you suggest affirmations as the best way, for newcomers to this concept to protect themselves from negative energies or influences?
Well, that's the best way. I mean, because you're taking control. You're taking control of thoughts that come into your mind that you didn't invite and that you don't want to be part of your thought system. Anything else should be helpful. But like I said, we have emotions, we have feelings, we have things that we want to do. Real quick, on the website, there are tabs at the top. Tab for bio for myself,
Yes.
my mother. And there's a tab for a television interview that my mother gave in Cincinnati. And you can scroll down, watch her TV interview. She's the pretty lady in white on the left. And posted on her interview is a message from volume 2 of the book, which is not out yet. This was the only time in a session where she was led to sit down and receive. 2 different spirit teachers moved in the same session, gave 2 different messages, and signed 2 different names.
Wow.
And it was obvious that the second teacher was a different teacher than the first, because this first message, it was little more than a long paragraph, but I thought it was powerful. And the next to the last line is the line that will make you sit up and take notice. May I share this with you?
Please, we would love that.
And again, when she received these messages, she was using an electric typewriter. She would see 3 or 4 words at a time float into her mind, and they would not go away until she typed them. This was not channeling. This was not automatic writing. She
No,
was taking dictation.
she was.
So this is the message that the first
Wow.
teacher presented. There is a resurrection period through which man must travel in order to come into the realm of things godlike. You are to consume and digest all that is given here, as this comes from one highly qualified to meet the needs of this generation. You are not the sole property of yourselves. God still holds the everlasting command over your being, and in him must one take refuge. You are to be considered as one who has been stripped of all belongings and left to die by the wayside. In this manner, are you then open to any help that would be forthcoming? You are by your very nature ones who would depend on your own intellect to carry you through. However, by giving of your soul into the hands of God, do you prosper and develop more freely into that which denies the outcome of some situations, knowing full well that it is the hand of God leading and directing you so that you may arise victorious in the end. There is never a time when you will be without the Father, nor his ever-loving approaches to see that you follow the path that directs you homeward. Take note that we say homeward. As your heavenly Father so resides in that vast insurmountable environment of time and space, so shall ye abide in joint communication with him by the grace with which he covers you and by your ability to accept this grace and use it for your own development. There are others here who wish to make themselves known to you, so I will step aside for this time. My love and devotion follows you as you trod onward but ever faithful to your goal. That message was signed, Your Loving Guide.
Ugh.
Now, the next to the last line makes me sit up and take notice. There are others here who wish to make themselves known to you. What do you mean there are others here? Where are you in relation to us on this physical plane?
Yes.
And they're in a spirit, they're in, I believe, a spiritual realm that we're separated from by a veil, a vibration, a frequency.
Yes.
We don't know the medium that separates us. But once we cross over, again, there is no death. We never really die. We cross over, then we're in the presence of these spirit teachers and that spiritual realm. And then we go to an evaluation center. We get to see how we lived our life. And then do we get reassigned? And if you're open to that, you're open to reincarnation.
Yep.
Now that teacher moved out and another teacher moved in, gave a page and a half, single space type, signed a different name. All of these messages in the book, they either end with an extremely profound last sentence or a deep, profound last paragraph. And this second teacher that moved in, if I may, I'd share the last paragraph of this message because I really like it. You are not as sheep herded here and there, but you are likened unto the lamb that is cared for individually, nourished and loved until the full and total development allows it to be master of itself. So is man so kept and denied only those things that would not in the long run nourish his spirit. God is all wise and loving in his dispensations. We are not to judge the workings of our Father, nor are we to judge each other. Work always to improve your own beings, for in the end time, there lies your soul, with all the nourishment that you have given it, totally dependent upon the outcome of your intentions. And that message was signed, Your Loving Spiritual Teacher.
Oh, and it's so clear to me that that is written by someone completely different. The way it's written, just the tone, everything. And it is so beautiful and helps me, and I feel will help countless people on their journeys. Just remember to stay connected to love. How do the teachings in this book address common fears? I feel like that passage you just read really helps and could help those who are struggling with their fears. So how do the teachings in the book address common fears related to things like death and the unknown?
Well, spirit teachers in these messages and teachings, they know what we're going through. And they will share information, teachings that gives you confidence and comfort, that will allow you the comfort to deal with what you're going through and to know that this information is available. Now, we're all going through different circumstances. My mother went through a divorce. I've gone through a divorce. Not everyone is going to have those same life experiences. But just knowing that we're not alone, know that we have our own spirit teachers for ourselves. There's a book called the Urantia book. The Urantia book talks about personalized thought adjusters. And it says that at the age of our first moral decision, usually 4 to 4.5 year old, 4 to 4.5 years old, we make a decision that shows that we know right from wrong, and that we are then assigned a personalized thought adjuster that stays with us for life. Spirit teacher, spirit guide, and will help us negotiate this physical plane, advise, guide, direct, support. So that's just one other confirmation that we're not alone and that we're here for a journey for whatever it is we're supposed to learn in this lifetime.
I love this so much, and it got me excited because I've known since I could form a memory in this lifetime that I wasn't alone. And when no one else could see what I was seeing, I was communicating with things I could see. And I've always felt like I've had at least one or two of those guides who have been with me all the way since I was 3 or 4. And I've always felt strongly that they have everything to do with how I have navigated the challenging lessons I've had presented to me so far.
They are there. They are there.
They are.
And more direct information that I have been given. When I was first looking for a publisher, I was on a number of different publisher websites.
Yeah.
One of the websites asked questions about your work. One of the questions was, what makes your material unique? Why would anyone want to read this? Great question.
Yeah.
And I was sitting where I'm sitting right now at my computer. I didn't really even ask for an answer, but an answer started to be dictated to my mind. It was 12 lines long. And I have read this answer to a number of hosts before, and more than one has teared up. May I share this answer with you?
Please.
So the question, what makes your material unique? Why would anyone want to read this? And this is the answer that was given to me. The uniqueness of any material is in the manner in which it touches the soul. An open and searching mind pulls the soul and the body in which it inhabits onward and upward with hunger and determination in its quest for spiritual nourishment, ever mindful that the path upon which we walk is the path toward God. Lives lived, experiences endured, goals accomplished, and loved ones lost are all encounters upon that path. Strive always for the highest possible communication with our Heavenly Father. Believe in yourself, as the Father within you is guiding, leading, directing, and comforting you upon this journey that we call life. Blessings be upon you as you walk your chosen pathway.
Oh my gosh.
And that was not me. I take no credit for that, but it was just one more recognition that they are with us in real time.
Yes.
In real time.
I know it for sure. And Michael, I will tell you, as you and I grow our connection, I'll share with you some of these stories, and my listeners know I will share all of my stories in due time. I have had moments in this lifetime, especially over these past 5 years, where I've asked out loud for help and known that what I was asking for was probably impossible in somehow, some way. In those moments, I got what I asked for, and I knew that it was happening so that Spirit would help me deepen my trust and faith. Because after those things happened, I thought to myself, how could I ever doubt that I'm alone? How could I ever doubt that I'm not supported very divinely. And I love that. And I love those moments that you just can feel them right there. And you're so right, because they're always right there.
They are. They
Yeah.
really are.
They really, really are. And I feel like we get to choose. When you make me think about, the solar system in our mind of thoughts, we get to choose to be open. We get to choose to connect. We get to choose to develop those connections that we have with our guides. And sometimes I think there must be so many spirit teachers and guides all over the planet that are just so anxiously excited to be helpful that they would just love for you to ask. They would just love for you to connect and co-create with them.
Well, these spirit teachers' joy is in our recognition of their existence. And the more, I mean, this is their assigned duty. This is what they're assigned to.
Yeah.
Just like Clarence in It's a Wonderful Life. He was an AS2, Angel Second Class, trying to earn his
Yes.
wings. He was assigned to George, Jimmy Stewart, to help him and guide him and try and direct his path.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own. Now, depending on your level of spiritual development, you may have one or two.
Yeah.
Others may have half a dozen. Jesus had battalions of spirit teachers,
Yes.
the masses that worked with him.
It's amazing to think about. I get really excited.
Well, and we'll find out one of these days.
We will.
And,
we will.
And again, people with a foundation of faith, they know that God is with them. They know that the angels are with them. But they seem to stop right there with the belief that in the end, when we cross over, there's really only two choices, heaven and hell. And I've always had a problem with hell because I can't believe that we are going to be sentenced to eternal damnation and punishment with no chance for reprieve.
I agree.
And I knew a lady one time, Baptist, I believe, really firm foundation of faith.
Yeah.
She knew that when she crossed over, she was going to heaven. And she had a son who was constantly getting in trouble. Constantly. They spent money on attorneys and bail, and it was just a problem for years. And she knew all the stuff that I was involved in. And I asked her one day, I said, do you really believe that, I said, is there anything that your son could do, anything at all, that would cause you not to want to give him another chance?
Yeah.
And she just put her head down and she said, no. And I said, what makes you think God loves us any less? I mean, do you really believe that we're going to be sentenced to eternal punishment forever and ever with no chance for reprieve, no chance for a do-over because we were stupid, because we had bad parents, made bad choices, made bad friends?
Yes.
And it makes no sense that would be, we get this one-shot blink of an eye existence.
No.
I mean, look at the children born to Bill Gates and Steven Spielberg. They'll want for nothing. Granted, they'll have their challenges.
Right.
But that kind of wealth and connection makes all the difference in the world.
And we all know that.
And then you've got children born to alcoholic parents, drug-addicted fathers.
Right.
You could be born in China, North Korea, Iran.
Yeah.
Who knows why we're assigned to a certain set of parents in a certain social station for whatever it is we're supposed to learn in this lifetime. And if you're open to that, then you're open to reincarnation.
You are describing a lot of the reasons that as I was growing up, inevitably chose to distance myself further and further from the teachings of the Catholic Church, because for me, I just struggled with the teaching that God is malevolent and is a punisher. And I feel that God is benevolent and loving. And I just, that just didn't resonate with me. That God would punish us. God unconditionally loves me. So why would I be punished for making a human mistake that is something, like you said, we're all born into a set of circumstances. Who knows why we were assigned what we were assigned, whether we had some choice in that assignment or not. But a lot of times, because of the environments in which we're raised and the situations that we were dealt in life, they weigh heavily on the choices that we make throughout our lives. And I just don't believe that somebody out there is taking notes and going to, at the end of it all, say, well,
You lost.
you lost. Your list of bad choices was just a little too long, and you're just going to have to get in the punishment line.
Right.
And I don't, yeah.
I'll tell you, I will share this with your listeners and with you. There are two outstanding movies that I recommend for people interested in this work
Please tell
and
us.
interested in what may happen. The first one is called Defending Your Life.
Ooh,
That has Albert Brooks and Meryl Streep in it.
I've never seen that.
Defending Your Life. You're going to like that. And the second one is called Always. That has Richard Dreyfuss and Holly Hunter in it.
Oh, I love both of them.
So, I mean, they're older movies. You can go old school, get them on the DVD from the library for free.
Yeah, I still
Or
do
you
that.
can stream them. You can stream them. But yeah, I Defending Your Life is one of my favorites. And these are just movies that make you think about the possibilities, that the end is not when we cross over, but what we have to look forward to.
Exactly. I love books, media, film, content that is of this nature. And I am very excited to watch these two movies. This brings up something I've been wanting to ask you today, Michael, which is, would you say that between the book, or that there are any similarities, between the messages in An Angel Told Me So and other spiritual or religious texts or content that people might be familiar with?
The King James Version of the Bible, there's an outstanding documentary that A&E, Arts and Entertainment Channel.
I love A&E.
They had a series called Mysteries of the Bible. It was an 18-part series that they ran. I believe it's available at the library, but it's available with all 18 episodes. And they would take various stories from the Bible and make a documentary out of it. Mm-hmm. Well, the very last two that they did were titled Who Wrote the Bible? And one DVD, they have it on DVD. I was able to buy it. One was on the Old Testament, the other was on the New Testament. And it talks about how the King James Version of the Bible came to be, how it was assembled, how there were groups that chose what books were going to be in the Bible and which were not.
Wow.
And why there's more books in the Catholic Bible than there are in the King James Version of the Bible.
Yeah.
And for anyone who is on a journey, along with my book, An Angel Told Me So, the information that we've talked about here, if they would like to be able to watch that documentary, the first episodes, but based on various stories of this, that, and the other, they're okay, they're entertaining. But the best one was the last two on Who Wrote the Bible. And they have professors of rabbinic studies. They have artifacts at the museums in Cairo. They have Jerry Falwell is even making comments and that sort of thing.
I would enjoy that.
Professors of theology, both Jewish and Christian, and it's really well done. So it just gives someone a perspective about the Bible and information. But, bottom line is we all have to learn as we go.
Yes.
We're here to learn and to experience and to deal with whatever we're dealing with. And we're all a product of our choices.
Yes.
And hopefully, as you go along, you're on a path, you go off on a tangent and use this information, the book An Angel Told Me So, the website, your information, to get back on the path. And it makes life so much easier.
It really does, doesn't it? It really, really does. That's, I feel, why I was guided to eventually teach about higher health, and that its foundation, and that our foundation in general of just being healthy is being connected. And that's where it all starts, because you just nailed it. Everything is so much easier when I'm just connected. Everything. Being healthy, making healthy choices, and just life is just better and easier. And I am so grateful that there are people like you and I out here in the world just shining lights, because I feel like that's just what we're supposed to do, is just serve, shine our lights as brightly as we can, and hope that we help as many other lights become as bright as they can along the way. I
And the
really hope.
confidence, just the confidence and the comfort that it gives you.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that everything is going to go, swimmingly.
No, it
It
does
doesn't mean you won't
not.
have car trouble. It doesn't
No,
mean
it
you
does
won't have
not.
problems with family or
Yes.
work, but you deal with it because you know you're not alone.
You do.
And their joy is in our recognition of their existence,
Yeah.
and they will help us in any way possible.
I love that you've repeated that lesson, because I feel it's so important. And my husband often shares this reflection with me when I talk out loud to my guides all the time. And sometimes they just get me really excited. And I just feel so overwhelmed with gratitude that I will cheer out loud and I'll yell to them out loud and just joyfully. And my husband, anytime he sees me doing it, he always says, I think that your guides love when you cheer and you get excited and you just get so joyful about just talking to them and being connected. And that's how I feel. So it makes me even more joyful and grateful to know that it brings them joy, to know that I'm just so darn grateful to have them in my life. And every day I start and end my day with talking out loud to my guides and thanking them for all the things I am thankful for, which sometimes takes me a while because I am just thankful for a lot.
One of my mother's favorite expressions, when she would be told that something was going to happen or she would be
Yeah,
given information that would help her, she would always say, "Thank you, Spirit." That makes them feel good to know that we acknowledge their existence.
I love that. And thank you, Spirit, is probably one of the most common phrases that I think and say on any given day in my life. And I love that your mom did the same thing. Speaking of your mom and just your personal journey, Michael, can you share any, particularly moving or personal stories from the book that you feel highlight the transformative power of the messages?
Well, my the one thing that comes to mind, my mother had always wanted to go to the Holy Land and see the holy sites.
Yes.
And she had connected with a church group in Cincinnati that was doing a tour,
Hmm.
10-day tour. Uh, and so she had received the message that I read part of to you, where the two spirit teachers moved in the same session.
Yes.
She had received that message in April of, I forget the year, it might have been 77. And that summer, she was able to make a connection with this church group and was going to go on a 10-day trip to the Holy Land. She had to get her passport and her shots and all her clothes and everything packed together.
Yeah.
And she had received these messages sometimes twice a week, sometimes three times, in a week. One day she received two messages in one day. She was
Wow.
so attuned to when they were ready to give her a message. And when she had come back from this trip, it was November before she was able to sit down in another session and receive the next message. And the
Wow.
spirit teachers gave, it was almost 3 pages, single space typed, including a prayer that they offered. And then the spirit teacher toward the end said, the time that has been lost has been regrettable, but we will, like they were going to make up for it. So they are with us in real time, and they were noticing that she hadn't been available to receive these messages, and they felt that the time lost was regrettable, but they decided again to come through with something really profound. And so it's just a real time thing that we're never apart from our spirit teachers and spirit guides.
I love that so much. I love to hear any story that just reminds us of that fact because I just know that that's what it is. How has this spiritual journey altered your perspective on anything, life and purpose?
Well, my purpose is to do what I'm doing.
Me too.
And I feel that I have been led into this. One of the lines in a message to me said, "Blessed is he who remains always in understanding of his calling." And I think that can apply to all of us.
Oh,
All of us. We're all here for a purpose. Some purposes may be higher than others, may take people in a different direction. Being a good father or mother and raising your family is a purpose. Being good to your children and grandchildren is a purpose.
yeah, it is.
And, it's not just all about being successful in business, but the more that you can serve, the more that you can represent our spirit teachers, our Heavenly Father. I feel, and I am thankful that I can represent my Heavenly Father. I can represent my mother and all of her hard work in the 22 years that she received these dictated messages and teachings. And I can represent the spirit guides, spirit teachers, master teachers that took their time and made the effort to reach out to Mother as they had found a willing receptacle for this information that they were able to share. That's why I'm here, I believe.
I love this, Michael.
Everything I've done in my life has led up to this.
I feel wholeheartedly the same way about my journey. And you used this word that I love. You said represent. And I loved your choice of using that word because I do feel strongly, and I take that very personally and seriously. I feel, just like as if I worked at a company, right? When you go to a school and you're a student there, you work for a company and you're an employee there, you are a representative in part of that company or that school. And I personally feel very strongly that I am simply a representative. I feel strongly that I got picked and that I am one of the luckiest humans. I feel strongly that I just get to be a clear, pure channel for divine wisdom, or an instrument, if you want to call it that. And I feel very lucky. And I definitely verbalize that to my guides every day. I always say, thank you for picking me. I got such a great team of guides. I am so happy. And I want to be the best representative that I possibly can. And I just loved when you said that word. And I loved it.
And when you're able to do that, it's like you're allowed to meet people. You're allowed to cross people's paths. You know how we all talk to customer service.
Yes.
And I talk to Philippines, which they're brought up Catholic, but they're extremely receptive to this material.
They are.
Costa Rica, Europe, India, or even across the United States. And I always try and share this information, just spreading the word, letting people know what I'm involved in. And you would be amazed, I'm amazed at how many people I've had say, I was meant to take this call today. You have no idea how much I needed this information. And that makes you feel good that you're able to share and help people. And that's what we do.
It is. It is what we do. Michael, I'm so grateful for you. How can listeners implement the teachings from An Angel Told Me So in their daily lives to enhance their own spiritual experience?
Well, once you see the information that's being given, once you know that these spirit teachers are real, angels, again, if that's your perspective, but no. And one of the interesting things, there were a tremendous amount of these messages and teachings that were signed with the name of the spirit teacher presented the message. Your loving spirit guide, your loving spirit teacher. Some of the signatures were plural, your loving spiritual teachers. One of the signatures in a message my mother received was your loving spiritual counterpart. I have messages to me that were signed your spirit brothers, your spirit light. And all of this information is available for people as they, the best thing that they can do is be seekers, be sincere seekers of truth, and then let your thoughts to want to know, take you on a path, allow you to come across information, your show, my work, my book, and that will lead, to just one more step on the path.
You're reminding me of a moment I had with one of my spiritual mentors, Tina, when I remember years and years ago going to her in a session and being so upset and telling her I was really worried because spirit was probably mad about something, that I had done or chosen. And I don't even remember what it was anymore because, of course, it was so silly. Because I knew they were always with me and I was besides myself and so upset. And she started laughing and I looked at her and I said, what? And she said, Elizabeth, spirit doesn't judge. She said, they're not judging you. They're not over there judging you. And to your point, they're not judging us.
Well, and then when you're involved in this work, and once you have all of this information and knowledge, you get to the point where you don't want to disappoint them.
Yes, that's how I feel. Yes.
You don't want to disappoint your spirit teachers by making a decision or taking an action or talking to someone a certain way that you knew better.
Yes.
But you lost your temper, or you thought, come on, why don't you understand this? Why can't you see what you're doing?
Yeah.
And then you just have to have patience with people, which many times is hard to do when they keep making the same mistakes over and over again.
Yes.
But, we do the best that we can. Not that we're perfect, but that you're connected. And if you can be connected, know that you're connected. And then that just gives you confidence to not only keep moving forward, but know that upon graduation from this physical plane, we have a lot to look forward to.
We do. It's not about coming to planet Earth and being perfect. Just be connected. We don't have to be perfect. And I think that is so beautiful and also such a healthy lesson, because I feel we've, had this message driven into us that there's something better, that we are not good enough just the way we are, that there's some better thing out there that we must be. But what I believe is that just by being connected, you're being healthy. And just by your existence, you're more than worthy. So we didn't need any of those other things in the first place, because perfection was always just an illusion. Just like you shared earlier, our guides, being connected doesn't, also mean that you're not going to make mistakes, that your life is going to be free from suffering and pain, but you will be able to navigate the suffering and pain with more ease and more guidance and support when you do it from a place of connection.
That's true.
Yeah. I love these lessons. And Michael, this has just been such a special, special interview and time for me. And I've been so present this whole time and just absorbing everything and this beautiful energy. Where can our listeners and followers find more information? How can they get your book immediately? Tell us all the ways that we can get to you.
Well, the book, An Angel Told Me So, is available on my website. You can get it through the website. It's available through Barnes & Noble all across the country. It's in their system. Ingram is my national distributor. So any bookstore, if you have a personal bookstore across the country, they can order from Ingram.
Great.
And it's also available on Amazon.
Oh, that's so good to know about the national bookstore through Ingram. Thank you. And everyone listening, links will be in the show notes so you can easily enjoy this interview and then order Michael's book, An Angel Told Me So, that I really hope you're going to do today, because I know I sure am. And I know some people that are going to be getting gifts of this book.
Now, I also have a contact page on my website, along with a great links page.
Okay.
I have links to 2 additional books. One on Edgar Casey. I'm sure you're familiar with Edgar Casey.
Yes.
He actually lived in Dayton, Ohio for a year and a half. He had a photography studio on 3rd Street.
Did
And
he really?
yeah, and he was born in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, about an hour and 15 minutes west of Mammoth Cave in Kentucky.
Oh my
Extremely
gosh.
religious. His family was brought up Baptist. So there's a book by Sidney Kirkpatrick on Edgar Casey, and then
Oh,
there's a more advanced book called the Urantia book that is available on my Great Links page. It's my light reading, 2,107 pages,
just
but
like
you
I
don't
do.
read it like a novel. It's a
Okay.
series of papers that are numbered and titled, written through an individual in 1935, first published in 1955. It was Urantia is their name for the Earth, so it's really the Earth book. It's been translated into 16 languages, over 4 million copies in print. It's only 4 parts to the book, but the 4th part is a 650-page section on the life and teachings of Jesus that sounds like they were standing beside him with a microphone for 33 years. The detail
Wow.
is amazing.
Oh, I
So,
can't
but
wait.
that's a different vein than these
Yes.
messages and teachings that my mother received. They're more personal, they're more local, they're more now for people can include this information and this perspective into their daily lives.
Yes.
More immediate.
I
So,
feel the
but if
same.
someone has a contact, wants to contact me on my website, if they have any questions, I'd be happy to respond.
That is such a gracious and generous offer, Michael. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Roberts, for having me. Rogers, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Dr.
Oh my
Rogers.
goodness.
Thank you.
Michael, this has been an honor and a pleasure and a joy and a blessing and a gift for me today. So thank you. I just feel so lucky right now. I cannot wait to continue growing our connection. And if you're up for it, maybe we have you come back sometime and ask you more questions on this topic. I feel you did such an extraordinary job in communicating in a way that I think can connect to anybody, no matter what level of development you're at, even if you are about to become a seeker on this path. So just thank you. This has been a phenomenal afternoon, and I hope you can feel all the love and gratitude that I'm sending on behalf of everyone that's going to listen, including myself.
Thank you. It was my honor.
Wow. First, you can find all the links Michael mentioned, including those for his book, An Angel Told Me So, and his website, spiritspeaks.com, in the show notes for today's episode. I hope you're going to go order the book and also go to his website and find the hidden messages in the painting because I can't wait. And now, wow, again, talk about divine alignment. I want to verbally say thank you to all of our divine and sacred guides for connecting Michael and I today. Like I said, I have never heard someone explain spirit teachers and connecting with them in a way that feels accessible to anyone. And Michael nailed it. I hope you remember the truths that were spoken in this episode. You have always had your own spirit teachers, and they are always with you, including right now in real time. And you can connect with them anytime you want. Their joy is in your recognition of them. They are always here to guide and support you. You never have been, are not, and never will be alone. And don't try to be perfect because there's no such thing. Just be connected. And that is the very essence and foundation of being healthy. Being connected to yourself, mind, body, and spirit, and to source or your spirit teachers so you can make the choices in alignment with your highest and healthiest self. As Michael helped us, as Michael and I shared today, when you have the foundation of being connected, of being healthy, then navigating the inevitable challenges and life in general gets a whole lot easier. I sincerely hope you can feel the love and positive energy I infused into this podcast episode. Remember, the world needs you and your light. So trust yourself, your path, and your heart. And the best way to do that is to stay connected to yourself, mind, body, and spirit, and to Source. That's all being healthy truly is. See you next time. Thank you so much for listening to Higher Health with Dr. Elizabeth Rogers. If you enjoyed the show today, it would mean so very much to me if you subscribe to the show and leave an honest, positive review. You can easily subscribe by going to the upper right-hand corner of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Odyssey, or wherever you listen to podcasts, and press the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner. Also, be sure to sign up for my email list and join my private Substack community to get even more content, value, and support on your health and well-being journey. You'll find these links in the show notes. Sending you so much positive and supportive energy today. I really hope you can feel it.